I would call the meeting in order and roll call
Ken Bisker,
Here.
Ken Anderson,
here.
Huh.
Here.
again,
Here.
please.
Here. Everybody get a chance to read the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
There a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, I guess you can go ahead.
The first one?
Yeah.
Notice of public hearing. Please take notice that an application was received from the following persons for a variance of setback requirement. Benjamin and Emily Weezer, fraction of the Northwest Quarter, Section 7, Township 104, Range 4, Houston County, Minnesota, parcel 080089000. It's in La Crescent Township, and it's a variance to reduce setback from the top of a block for a proposed dwelling under Section 2917 subdivision 2. A hearing on this application will be held at the Houston County Commissioners Room, City of Caledonia, Minnesota, at 5:30 p.m. on Thursday, April 25th, 2024. All persons having an interest in the matter will be given the opportunity to submit comments relative to the granting or denying of said application. Comments should be mailed to the Environmental Services Department, 304 South Marshall Street, Caledonia, Minnesota, 55921, or emailed to martin.herrick@co.houston.mn.us and must be received by Tuesday, April 16th, 2024. Comments in regard to the petition received by this date will be part of the public record and will be made available for review by the Board of Adjustment prior to the meeting. Houston County Board of Adjustment by Martin Herrick, zoning administrator.
Is the applicants here? You want to come up the chair up there and tell us what you're doing? Or what your plans are?
So we're just looking to build a house out there on the farm. Obviously with the previous meeting, we had to do some changes there and stuff, but yeah, I mean, it's where we want to build there is kind of an ideal spot for the house. It's out of the ag land, out of the tillable land. In the pasture land, there's a existing well there from a previous trailer house. And there was an old farm dwelling there way back in the day, so.
So is this doesn't have anything to do with this one the planning commission was talking about?
It absolutely was. That's right. Right. What was just agreed to was a rezone for the adjacent, or I should say, in this, where they are proposing to place the house will be in the same quarter as Jason Weezer's dwelling, but Jason's has now been changed to be a residential district dwelling, not an ag protection district dwelling. And so there's the differences that now that quarter is not occupied by something in the ag protection district. And so what Ben and Emily are proposing would be a dwelling that would occupy.
So what you're saying is, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I heard you say if you're within 2 miles of a plotted city limit, you can go into residential. So that's one way to beat the 2 on a quarter section. Is that what you're telling
There's a
me?
number of factors that would also play into it. That is certainly one of the things that's evaluated as part of a redistricting, a rezoning. A district from one to another would be what the comprehensive land use plans for what the county would be and what the city that's linked to it would be part of it. So kind of a circular answer. That's definitely part of it.
Or you get questions for it? Well, now is there, you have to have a new sewer and all that stuff, or the sewer?
No, we plan on doing
New
the
sewer?
sewer, yeah. No,
How close is the house actually to the block point? the proposed house?
Well, we're estimating based on the flags that were set. They would need a setback of about 12 feet. The state to meet the setback,
What is the setback requirement?
it's basically, it's
30, isn't it?
40.
40.
40.
Okay,
So what says here? Block then, if you want to call it a block, what percent slope is that?
It's 20, 24.
24. And so anything over 20. Correct, for a slope?
No, 24%. Basically, there's the definition of a block. And that can get involved at 18, but there, in this, the criteria for this one would be 4%.
And why?
It's basically the idea with a block is that erosion potential, to maintain the slope, that stability type
stability is a hill.
things. So you don't cut the hill away, causing a lot of dirt to go down the hill. And contribute to get into a waterway or some other feature. So
And that creates the 12 feet.
that's
The
why
12 feet is what-
that's why we're doing the setback is just that
We're a little closer to,
we're
What-
encroaching a little bit
Yeah.
in that 40.
so roughly you're still got about almost 28 feet. Right, about, right.
And it's not a incredibly erodible soil. I mean, it's, you can make anything erode if you really try. But it's fairly stable. It's fine.
Was it, is it wooded?
That bank doesn't have a lot of wood in it.
It's pasture. It's been pasture for many years. So
So how long the total slope is it roughly from the
It's
Point.
not too much over 50.
top to the toe?
From
top to the road below it now, it's probably 50.
It's the 50 to meet the definition.
Okay,
It's-
yeah, that 50 foot
Yeah,
drop.
that's about, it's maybe 51 or 52.
Yeah, it's right
Just
there.
barely meets
It's
the,
just barely.
okay,
It's in that category.
So then will you cut into that? So will you need blocking for wall or?
That side would stay established. It'll be bowled out towards the valley, I guess you could say.
Which would be south.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
This is on the west side.
Yeah.
Yeah, the setback would be.
The west side of that bank would stay. More facing the south is where it'd be dug out for a walkout base.
So that block hill, whatever you want to call it, it's not really much of a danger then of a mudslide or anything like that, because it's that type of soil, the way I understand
It
it.
really isn't being interrupted by this activity. There'll be some construction requirements. There'll certainly be an erosion control plan that will be in place during the construction of the dwelling. Once it's established, it really shouldn't be a situation where it will start, it will compromise the.
Any questions from the board? Did we get any comments from the public?
We got one in favor.
Any more questions from the board on this? If not, then we can ask questions afterwards. We can go to the finding.
Number one, the variance requests are in harmony with the intent and purpose of official controls. Staff analysis, placing a dwelling on non-prime ag soils protects prime agricultural land, which is a goal of the comprehensive plan.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead.
Number two, there are practical difficulties in complying with the official controls, and the proposed use of the property is reasonable. Economic considerations alone do not constitute practical difficulties. Staff analysis, creating larger setbacks is not feasible based on the existing terrain. The site previously had a mobile home and some utilities are in close proximity.
All in favor, say Opposed, nay. Go ahead.
Number three, the variance requests are due to special conditions or circumstances unique to the property, not created by the property owner. Staff analysis, the site's terrain limits placement of structures, which is a special condition not created by the property owner.
All in favor of this one, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead.
Number four, the variances cannot be alleviated by a reasonable method other than variances, and the minimum variance which would alleviate the practical difficulty is sought. Staff analysis, the board may find that the variance related to the proposed dwelling are the only way to feasibly resolve the top of bluff setback requirements, and that the variance is the minimum that would alleviate the practical difficulty of limited buildable space, which is not created by the current owner of the property.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Go ahead.
Number five, the variances will not alter the essential character of the locality nor substantially impair property values or the public health, safety, or welfare in the vicinity. Staff analysis, granting the variances will not have a negative impact on the criteria listed above. Additionally, placement of the dwelling is not a new use for the parcel.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead.
Number six, the requests are not use variances and will not have the effect of allowing any use that is not allowed in the zoning district, permit a lower degree of flood protection than the regulatory flood protection elevation, or permit standards lower than those required by Minnesota state law. Staff analysis, the granting of a setback variances to the top of bluff does not conflict with any restricted uses. There is no map floodplain on the parcel. There are no known state standards applicable to the request.
All in favor of six, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
I move to accept the findings.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. So now we need, if that's what the board wants. Motion, I don't think there's anybody in the public that's got any comment. I asked for it before, but I don't think there's any. Yeah,
I'm for it.
so you want to make, somebody want to
No,
make, let's
I
still
would-
read it's what the motion is.
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay, proposed motion grant the following variance, setback variance of 12 feet from the 40-foot top of bluff requirement in section 2917 subdivision.
So move.
Second.
Any more discussion? Roll call vote.
Ken Bisker,
Aye.
Ken Anderson,
Aye.
Franklin Hahn,
All right.
Jim Ronigan,
Aye.
James Weezer.
Aye.
Well, good building.
All right, thank you, guys.
We'll get you to pay the bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finish that in the 13th, so it's something that's.
So. It talks about 18 feet, and now this one is 24 feet. Tell me how, how that changes.
Well, 18%.
I'm sorry, 18%.
Yeah, what, there's the definition. And it's pretty unique in the packet sort of elaborates on it. It's that. It's a percent. Water involvement with it, versus not being a water involvement with it. That will make the difference. You get the more extreme percentage when there's not a water in a bank, like say it's next to a river.
But does the setback change based on that percentage?
Basically, there's the shoreland version, and then there's just quote bluffland, which is a little less restricted.
But if it's an 18% bluff versus a 24% bluff, does that top of the bluff
No,
change at all?
no, it's still a.
It's still a
it's
bluff.
still a bluff
They
impact.
don't, they define a bluff as anything over 18%.
depending on how you configure it, so. But in the case of Weezer's, theirs was that 50-foot definition.
right,
That's where they start, if it was like 36, it'd be like, well, that's not
above,
a block.
yeah, I got it. But
So-
then, but that setback doesn't change based on the slope.
It's basically, you're into what they call a bluff impact, so. And how they vary it is, depending on whether you're near a water body that would be short. I can draw it better than I can explain it.
I got it.
Yeah, this was sort of unique in that there is what appears to be a perennial water body in the valley, but it's not actually mapped as a public water, so it doesn't require shoreline. We don't find that for.
We have to take a pretty hard look at the definitions.
So what you're saying is then a little spring that runs wouldn't be considered public water.
Yeah, we got to see how the DNR defines it.
Yeah, I mean, we are a lot of. There's some dry runs that are mapped that are public waters, some like waterways and fields are considered public waters. It all has to do, I think, with. Also, I mean, there's like you pull the statute, a number of criteria that they look at, but like where it all eventually feeds to, if it's a mapped or designated trout stream, things like that, so.
Drainage area.
One
Yeah.
thing you could certainly comment. If it's big enough to put a kazoo, in, you're
High water.
definitely, you're definitely in public water. You can count.
There's an awful lot of unnamed public waters in the county.
Yeah.
If you look at the beacon maps and look at.
Right.
I mean, through my waterway, that's considered public waters. But they don't pay for taking care of it.
Maybe they're considering a little toy canoe. with
Yeah, that's
both
about
legs.
I don't know on that, yeah, okay.
I think the bigger problem was when, back in the 70s, when you were doing all the public waters. Most of them were dropped for the national, but Minnesota adapted those. And we as a town boards fought that tooth and nail when it was coming around.
Usually when we encounter water, we're like asking the DNR or, to say, what's your interpretation of this? So people, before they get too involved with this, it's like, hold on, we gotta check this, be sure where we don't understand.
So not all service water is public waters?
I think if the got water stand in any time, or all the time, it would.
Well, you just said no.
Well, there's a few,
Yeah.
it gets, I mean, the best way to explain it is I would look at, what comes up in their registry. And they show it as, and then go from there, so, if you found something that seemed pretty strange, I would definitely check the registry, see where they're at, kind of go from there, so it isn't a great answer.
I always assumed that every surface water was considered public water.
And I guess where I'd check the registry is the route I would go. I wouldn't. Yeah,
And when you say registry, you're talking about the DNR.
Yeah.
Their definition.
right. And for the next meeting, Kevin Jumbeck couldn't make it. He's on with us.
Okay. Have another minute, then we're on schedule. Go ahead, read
Read the notice. Okay. Notice of public hearing. Please take notice that an application was received from the following persons for a variance of setback requirements. Kevin and Catherine Jumbeck, Lot 3, Block 2, Castle Valley Estates, section 29, township 104, range 6, Houston County, Minnesota, parcel 10-0442-000. It's in Money Creek Township, and the first variance, number 1, is a variance to reduce front yard setback requirements for proposed accessory structure addition under section 15.6 subdivision 3. Number 2 is a variance to place an accessory structure ahead of the principal building under section 2914 subdivision 1 subsection 2. The hearing on this application will be held at the Houston County Commissioners Room, City of Caledonia, Minnesota at 5:50 p.m. on Thursday, April 25th, 2024. All persons having an interest in the matter will be given the opportunity to submit comments relative to the granting or denying of said application. Comments should be emailed or mailed to the Environmental Services Department, 304 South Marshall Street, Caledonia, Minnesota, 55921, or emailed to martin.herrick@co.houston.mn.us. It must be received by Tuesday, April 16th, 2024. Comments in regard to the petition received by this date will be part of the public record and will be made available for review by the Board of Adjustment prior to the meeting. Houston County Board of Adjustment by Martin Herrick, zoning administrator.
Okay. So, the applicant, then you want to explain to the board what your intentions are?
Oh, sorry, I couldn't make it. Basically, what I'd like to do is add 16 feet towards the road and just a portion of the building 30 feet wide. So we'd only be encroaching towards the road 16 feet. Right now, the building is 30 feet wide and 28 feet inside dimensions. You can barely get a full-size pickup in there, so I can't even back a trailer inside right now and shut the door. That's what I'm looking to be able to do.
So when you're looking at this picture, that's the front with the three doors in it.
Correct.
You're bringing that towards us, if that's the right. Is that what you're?
The only portion I'd be bringing towards you would be the big door section, the taller
Okay, that's
section.
the 36-foot door or whatever it is.
It's a 12, yeah.
Width of the building.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a second
So
picture
you're-
there. Figure 2, it has it mapped out pretty good.
Figure 2 and 3 show it better.
So just half of the building is going forward, basically.
Okay. Oh, yeah, it's 30.
One thing to realize too is there's an overhang. And we take it from the foundation, one, not the over. So even if
Yeah.
you know,
No,
back to that.
Yeah.
what prevents it from being done, going to the backside just to get that extra roof?
Things that
A lot of excavation. There's a block wall in the back of the shop or the garage there, and then it goes uphill. Casting all
Okay.
there, it's a circle, so it'd be a lot of excavation to go backwards.
Okay,
Tell me about the road. Is that the subdivision road?
Yes, subdivision is a circle, so you come off Highway 76, go back up in there. It's a circle and come right back out. There's no way out of there basically without going back out to Highway 76.
Okay.
So it's a dead end
Level?
road. Pardon me?
That road is at level?
No, we're on the lower section of Cassendahl, and there's an upper section. The road goes in a circle, and the upper circle is higher than us, so we look up to our neighbors, I guess, if you want to say that.
we did wheel it off, check the dimensions on it. These came out pretty good, so.
So is there a speed limit through there?
Well, kinda. It says 20 miles an hour. That's posted in Houston Township's portion, but nobody abides by it. They should, but yeah, it's supposed to be 20 miles an hour.
What's on either side of you? Do you have a house on either side of you?
My house is to the bottom half of the drawing there, and there's an empty lot to the opposite side. To the top side of the picture is an empty lot.
And right across the road from you, is that your lot also?
Yes.
And no building on that right now either.
Well, I just found out recently with all the new changes, it was an outlot when we bought it 20 some years ago, and now it is a buildable lot apparently. So we went round and round with that, but yeah, it's just buildable, but that dips down because it used to be for drainage, but I guess they don't count it as that.
Okay. Yep.
So that must be on a different quarter section then, huh? You can build
Well,
on
it's
it?
a residential. It's all residential.
Residential, okay. All right. All right. Your answer, or my answer.
I will add that. With the second variance, what this one, the fact that he's requesting the variance, this one gets into the definition of a lot. Realize there's two lots, the house is on a lot and the garage is. But if they were to be combined, they'd be obviously on a single. And so the fact that he needed the variance for the road, it was like. Consideration should also be given to the fact that if you wanted to redefine this lot as a single lot. For some reason, that all of a sudden this addition would put that building ahead of the house. So that's where that second.
Yep. Okay.
Second variance request is coming from, solely with that idea. And it's really kind of, you could argue that one both ways in terms of, well, is the lot defined by the parcel ID? Or is it, you know, where does it lead? But it makes it cleaner.
So what exactly are you saying? You're,
What I'm saying is I recommended that you go for that variance for that because of the potential that it could be, because we don't have a good definition of for that.
so you're just playing it safe, basically.
If he sells the parcel laid down the road, if the two of them it's together, then you're covered.
Then you're covered, right? The fact that he was going for the other one, it's like, well, this would be a bad idea.
I agree with that.
I did a site visit. I can attest to the fact that the elevation does go up quite a ways behind the house. I think, how many block wall is that retaining wall in the back? Is that four blocks
Yeah,
high?
I believe it's 4 high, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Any comments from the public?
We did get one comment. from a Neighbor. Her question really wasn't so much about construction. She wanted to know what was going on, and then she was concerned about noise. And I guess I could let the applicant kind of fill in a little more the rest of this discussion.
I went up and talked to her and I took the original paperwork that was sent to her. It really doesn't show anything what we were doing. The front picture just shows the garage. So I took this figure 2 and figure 3 up to her and showed her what we're doing, and she's, oh, okay. You know, she was concerned maybe we're gonna build a hotel, it'd be super high or something and block her view. But it was just an extension. So once I talked to her, it was all good.
The questions from the board? That we can go ahead to the findings.
Number one, the variance requests are in harmony with the intent and purpose of official control. Staff analysis on 12/11/2002, a CUP was granted for an accessory structure to be placed in the residential district. Developing existing structures in a planned subdevelopment protects prime ag land, which is the goal of the comprehensive land use plan.
Discussion, if not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead.
Number two, there are practical difficulties in complying with the official controls and the proposed use of the property is reasonable. Economic considerations alone do not constitute practical difficulties. Staff analysis, creating larger setbacks would involve the acquisition of additional land, which necessitates a willing seller.
All in favor of two, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Go ahead.
Number three, the variance requests are due to special conditions or circumstances unique to the property and not created by the property owner. Staff analysis, the site's terrain limits placement of structures, which is a special condition not created by the property.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? If you have anybody on the board has a comment anytime on any of these, you just get
Absolutely.
right in there and say it. Go ahead.
Number four, the variances cannot be alleviated by a reasonable method other than the variances, and the minimum variances which would alleviate the practical difficulties are sought. Staff analysis, the board may find that the variances related to the proposed addition are the only way to feasibly resolve the front yard setback and the accessory building being located nearer to the front lot line than the principal building, and that the variances are the minimum that would alleviate the practical difficulty of limited buildable space, which was not created by the current owner of the property.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead.
Number five, the variances will not alter the essential character of the locality nor substantially impair property values or the public health, safety, or welfare in the vicinity. Staff analysis, granting the variances will not have a negative impact on the criteria listed above. Additionally, the expanded shop is not anticipated to have any effect on the above criteria. Proposed structure will not have septic connections.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead.
Number six, the requests are not use variances and will not have the effect of allowing any use that is not allowed in the zoning district. Permit a lower degree of flood protection than the regulatory flood protection elevation, or permit standards lower than those required by Minnesota state law. Staff analysis, the granting of the variances to the front yard setback requirement and allowing the accessory structure to be located nearer to the front lot line than the principal building in the residential district does not conflict with any restricted uses. There is no map floodplain on the parcel. There are no known state standards applicable to the request.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion to accept the
Findings?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Any discussion from the public or the board before we move on one way or the other?
I just have one. Township and neighborhood comments. It says to date, 2 comments have been received.
Did I get that?
It's too
Oh, the same lady
Okay,
made two.
that's what I was wondering. All right,
First one was basically, I don't know, I don't understand the second one. She was concerned about.
Do you want to read the
The
proposed motion and
recommendation is the board must consider the information presented above and the criteria findings pursuant to section 12.5 of the Houston County zoning ordinance. Should the board elect to grant the variance request, staff recommend the following. Proposed motion, grant the following variances. Number one, variance of 12 feet to reduce the front yard setback requirements for the proposed addition to the existing shop from the center line of Cassadal Road. Number two, variance of the section 2914 subdivision 1 subsection 2, allowing the accessory structure to be placed closer to the front lot line than the principal building on the lot.
So move.
motion to accept it? Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call vote.
Okay, Ken Visker,
Aye.
Ken Anderson,
Aye.
Frank Van
Aye.
Running,
Aye.
Jim Weezer.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
That one too.
You gotta take a call.
We got 5 minutes, don't worry.
There's still an additional items here.
Right, for the Peter Shuffle. A lot of things that have transpired since the word packet, so there's additional supplemental.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't notice.
It is, I mean, if you guys didn't catch that, with the planning.
This is. Oh.
Oh, they don't really-
Hey,
they know what it's like.
No, it's.
This year.
Yeah, I have. That, if that doesn't, you have.
You're done looking, go ahead.
We can certainly ask questions too.
Yeah, we go ahead.
Okay. Notice of public hearing, please take notice that an application was received from the following persons for a variance of setback requirements, Peter Shufflebotham and Kate Woodward. Part of the northwest quarter, southwest quarter, section 3, township 103, range 4, Houston County, Minnesota. Parcel 0500310001, Boca Township. First variance number 1, limits the reduced front yard setback requirements for proposed dwelling under section 14.7 subdivision 3. Second variance to reduce setback from total bluff for a proposed dwelling, section 2917 subdivision 2. And the third variance to reduce rear yard setback standards, section 14.9 subdivision 1. The hearing on this application will be held at the Houston County Commissioners Room, City of Caledonia, Minnesota at 6:10 p.m. on Thursday, April 25th, 2024. All persons having an interest in the matter will be given the opportunity to submit comments relative to the granting or denying a said application. Comments should be mailed to the Environmental Services Department, 304 South Marshall Street, Caledonia, Minnesota, 55921. Or emailed to martin.herrick@co.houston.mn.us. Must be received by Tuesday, April 16th, 2024. Comments in regard to the petition received by the state will be part of the public record and will be made available for review by the Board of Adjustment prior to the meeting. Houston County Board of Adjustment by Martin Herrick, zoning administrator.
Are the applicant here? And forward if you want. And tell us what your plans are. I guess we got it in front of us.
We are proposing to build a house out on 2928 Balky Drive. Currently existing there is a trailer and another shed, and we would like to remove that. There's currently a well that was drilled in 1976 and a septic that was put in somewhere between the 50s and 60s that would replace.
This question's for you, Martin. Is this, there's a house right next to it. Is that on a different quarter?
Here, this one is, this quarter is occupied by this parcel, by this.
By this parcel alone. Okay, I just wanted to verify that because I saw that there was a house right below it. So
The other thing that you can, some instances you may see that something will overlap into it. We take the bigger percentage. That's, in other words, if you encounter something that the house looks like it's in the quarter, you go by whichever side has the most amount of house in it. In terms of that.
House is a lot.
Right, the house, if you're defining the quarter, you see part of the structure. You would go by
Okay.
the larger proportion.
when I was there looking at it, I didn't know at the time if that was a 2-rod road or a 4-rod road, but I did find out that it is a 4-rod road. So that's 33 feet right there from the center of the road. Comes in on the lawn. Anybody but look at the site. Anybody else, but go ahead, board, and ask some questions.
I'm familiar with the location and I've, seen that trailer there for many, many years and I'm kind of questioning, we're going from a mobile home. I looked it up on Beacon. It's got a square feet of 1,260 square feet. And it looks like the footprint for your house is 4,900 square feet.
Well, that's with the shop included.
Right.
Yep.
And, looking at the very limited size of the lot, I mean, I'm just kind of wondering, why does it need to be that big?
Well, the shop, we'd like to have that big because we have a camper and we'd like to put it inside.
Okay,
The camper's out there right now. It's 38 feet long.
I did see
And
that.
we would like to keep it indoors during the winter time. And then also our vehicles as well.
Right.
Yep. And the boat. Instead of paying for additional storage.
Right. Again, it just seems like a very small lot to try and fit a building that size on that lot.
Mhm.
Do you have any idea what size the lot itself that's actually
Buildable.
buildable?
we ran the numbers on that and it comes up at about 0.89, which significant numbers that will run up. And that was my rough drawing of it.
Now, does that exclude the setbacks?
Yes, but the buildable lot is, in the ag protection district is 1 acre. And then you're given a 10% credit for slope situations, which in this case does apply in terms of that one. So when you, I think it could be reasonably stated that if you were to make that map very carefully, and if they hired a surveyor and we agreed to it, that you could show it to be 0.9 acres, which is what they buildable here. But it's right.
But that must almost include the right of way of the township road.
That's the definition of buildable lot.
Do we, as the board, have the authority to grant building on the township right of way? I didn't think so, but I just wanted it on record. Everybody was clear on what.
So, in the comments, it says number 1, plot of land is only 0.9 acres, needs to be 1 acre.
And that's what I was just alluding to, is that there is a provision that gives it up to a 10% credit to account for the fact that you have steep slopes. In other words, if you add it in their total area, it's certainly substantially more than 1 acre, but you have to factor in the reductions that would be a lot related to slope factor. And so that's what that case. It's not, in other words, you're allowed to go down to 10%, which would be 0.1. So you would want to.
The other one, you have to have room for 2 septic fields.
In this case, you don't,
Why not?
because this parcel was prior to 1996. That's when that rule came in for septic system.
What we just have now is for us, a holding tank.
That's what's being proposed at this point. That is a legitimate septic tank design. But in terms of the question, and that we certainly looked at that right away, is that is it January 23rd or something like that, 1996, is when the requirement for 2 soil absorption areas for new parcels. And this one was substantially before that date.
So let me ask you this question, if there was that old trailer was removed and a new trailer was put in there, would there be room for a little shed for his camper then on that property?
Potentially. I mean, so in other words, 2 structures.
Well, I'm a little skeptical on that bank behind there. I'm afraid that's sand, isn't it?
It might be. I mean, that's why when Peter first came in, that was exactly what I went after right away. I just said, the only way I'm going to consider these variances is that you would have a geotechnical engineer, basically a professional engineer, sign off on the design for any activities relating to slope work. And so that's part of the conditions with this.
It looks like a diversion was already installed to divert water away from the building already.
I think it's a roadway, isn't it? Or
It's
it's a road. Yeah, it looks like a diversion. I think it's a
big,
road.
big
Parking.
culvert that runs underneath.
No, but I'm saying, you know where the power line goes up the hill?
Yeah.
Well, at the bottom of the hill, right there's a diversion that runs water
Out.
right toward the road.
Yeah, there's some structures there that help to a certain extent, and that partly probably may have been the power company who had that line done. They did some grading. I'm not sure.
Well, I'm not so concerned about the water myself, water coming down the ditch, but that sand hill right behind there, that bothers me. I know you said you're gonna have a cement wall or whatever you're gonna have,
Well, and the professional engineer is gonna sign off on the stability.
Mhm.
And what we're gonna certainly take a look at is factor of safety that goes along with, and likely he'll run the model stable. And, we're gonna, what I told Peter is I said, I wanna see a factor of safety of at least 1.3 to 1.35 on that model. He's demonstrating the stability.
I'm comfortable with using experts. I don't think we can make those kinds of considerations as opposed to allowing experts to do that. We've done that before, and sometimes I don't think that's our job. I'm comfortable with allowing experts as long as it's a condition.
It is.
And you're stating that it is.
Right, and I mean, from Peter walked in the first day, I just said, this is where I'm at. I made it pretty clear that this is gonna have to be. And then another thing to understand is that this is the variance, this is also going to require additional use. It's gonna go along with this project too. So then, and after that, a building. So there's more steps to this. Sorry, but the issue of the variance needs to be addressed.
My eyes aren't good enough. Tell me what, I'm looking at this little tiny drawing with all these little tiny numbers, and I don't know what the variance is. It doesn't state in there.
The variance, there's basically 3 requests. The first one is from the center line of Welke Road, that they will need a 12-foot setback from the center line. Basically, they're gonna.
12-foot variance.
Yeah, they're gonna be at the 33.
Yep.
Plus 20, because you gotta maintain the 20 for the right of way requirement, so they're at 53 versus they need to be at 65, so.
That's 12 feet,
there's
okay.
12 foot. On the back of the lot, way up on top of the hill, it's actually, they need a 5-foot setback variance on that. And then on going.
From the back of the structure.
From the back of the structure, correct.
Okay.
And then the last one is on the issue with the bluff. That part of it actually meets the toe setback requirement, which is 25 feet for the toe as opposed to 40 on the top. That part of it meets it, but when you get to the northeast corner of this proposed structure, it starts to
Right.
close on it because it kind of juts out like
Yeah,
this in the corner. And that's where the estimate is 12 foot would need to be good, so that they'd have 13 feet, and then they would need 12 feet.
12-foot variance.
Right, where it would be partially removed, some sort of a structure that will hold it back. I'm getting there. And then it would,
Yeah.
maintain the stability.
So
And
now,
that would
when
be
you
part of
take,
that engineering study.
Exactly.
so when you take the 33 feet now of the township right away,
Mhm.
how close, and I think you said it, how close then to the township right away would this structure be?
Well, okay, if you'd be 20.
Yeah.
It'd be 20 feet.
20 feet from that would be the structure, then there's room for the holding tank between the right of way and
Yes.
and the house.
Yeah.
We had several comments. I don't know if the board wants more questions, or you want to go through the comments and then we'll have questions again.
That doesn't always mean that it's the best system for homeowners.
I mean, we certainly try to get people to do a system that they would treat in place as opposed to pumping. I mean, the septic tanks are an allowed design. Ideally, we would see a type 1 system that has your conventional drain field, whether, and that type of system that would treat it. And it doesn't involve as much activity. I mean, there's certainly still things you have to do, but not at the scale that you would see with.
This isn't ideal that they wouldn't be here. I think we need to look at it in
That's-
terms of what's allowed.
That, yeah, and
I mean, that's our job.
right, that's,
So on the holding tank, when that gets full, does it overflow? Flow? Or
It
does,
has to be, it has
Does
to
it
be
have
pumped, it will have to be pumped pretty regularly.
You can
does it
set
have
up
a
an
fuel gauge?
alarm system.
You'll have a high-low alarm system. Then usually it's 3/4 of the capacity it kicks in.
That is the problem going.
That's what we ideally we like to avoid.
But it's allowed.
It's
So you have a lot of people there and they're flushing the toilet a lot and all of a sudden,
well, and basically 4 kids, 2 adults. I mean. Is Jeff still here?
Yeah.
Jeffson, okay. The septic guy in the back is Jeff Giroux. And you had it at 400 gallon per day. The design. Basically, your flow estimate for. Yeah. It could be 400 gallon per day. So. Couple weeks.
If they're conservative, they go on.
The Greenfield was originally proposed in your packet, but they couldn't meet the setback.
And one of the concerns that Jeff came up with a system, but. Part of it wasn't that there are systems that likely could treat the contaminant. But the water loading as it gets next to the structure starts to saturate the soil. And what you run into is you could get a tremendous amount of consolidation of the soil in the area where that water keeps going, kind of like the corner of a house that has the leaky faucet that, all of a sudden it starts to settle differentially. And so even if you have poured walls or you design a really tricky footing or something like that, it's still just a tremendous amount of water loaded in one location. That's a very big risk.
What is your opinion of the holding tank?
Well, it's a cheaper design to put in. And yes, it causes more maintenance. Versus getting my septic pump once a year. Versus 12 times a year.
Right.
But it's substantially different. It's $20,000 difference.
Sure.
So I'm not against it.
Okay.
At all.
So is there anybody here that wants to speak as comments? Yes. I was wondering, do you have soil and water? Have they been involved in it? Hillside, you guys are all talking about.
They'll certainly have an erosion control plan for sure. When we get that far.
It's been involved.
Yeah, that's fine.
Wasn't that filed? Dave Waller told me that he has been here.
We haven't gotten that far yet. I mean, the erosion control plan would come with later documents. We're still in the variance part of the review.
Comment back there.
Yeah, kind of sheet that you guys are looking at. I am the other house next to it.
Oh, okay.
And I've lived there since November of 2017. I can just say, speaking for my wife and I, that everything that's happening with that property, with Mr. Shuffle, farm and his wife, has been improvement, and I really see no issue with a house going in there. And I'm the closest neighbor, I'll be the one looking out my window and seeing this every day. And we have no complaints, we think they're pretty decent people, and I say it's America, let them go, let them go.
You want to, there's nobody here from the Hoka Town Board, is there? Other than the comment? You want to read that comment, Martin, from the Hoka Township Board?
Page 23. Here we go. Page 23 and 22, this is from Delane Bobo, the clerk. Says for Peter Trufflebotham, address 2928 Welcome Drive, Hoka, Minnesota. This letter is to document the concern from the Hoka Township Board and 5 residents against the proposed variances. Mark Von Arts, Terry Rosendahl, Richard Marcos, Jim Vogel, Delane Vogel. Also were present Andy Welke, Michelle Welke, Jerry Welke, Jay Bruner, Tom Bernster. Following a phone call with Mark Herrick on 4/17/24 at 1:30 p.m. Following concerns were discussed. Plot of land is only 0.9 acres, needs to be 1 acre. Number 2, encroachment of the township right of way. Number 3, encroachment of the township culvert. Number 4, digging into the steep slope on the toe of the bluff was high risk of stormwater runoff. Number 5, sewer placement encroaching township right of way. Please take these concerns into consideration at the next county board meeting. Thank you. See 2:20 p.m. phone call received from Mr. Shufflebot asking for the local board concerns against the variance. Told him I will include him on his email to review and reminded him that the township board has no voter decision and can only review and express any concerns respectfully submitted to Lane Vogel, Hoka Township.
You want to read for.
I would like, when you go through those concerns, number one, we can't change that, but that's, we have to grant a variance basically on the buildable lot.
It sure looks like it meets the 0.9.
I mean, we need, it's supposed to be an acre, so it's too low.
If it's 0.9, you're given that 10% credit like we talked about. Okay. That's what that's.
You're just really borderline on buildable lot.
It appears that it can meet the 0.9.
Encroachment on the township right of way. It's not on the right of way itself, but you're crowding the easement,
The
setback.
The
They're
setback.
allowing, they're allowing the 20 foot. The 33, like the 4 rod, and the 20, then, you're going from there. So it's the center line, the variance that's being.
From the center line, yeah.
It's from the center line of Welcome Drive.
But if there has to be maintenance done on the road, all of a sudden we may need that extra room for upgrade of the roads and stuff like that. That's some of the concern that the township and county has about that.
Understood. Yeah, it's that they're not into that 20.
Okay. The township culvert. Where's that one? I didn't,
That's down in the front.
It's located like 13 foot off the side of the road.
It comes across the road
Mhm.
above the driveway.
or to
It's
your
above the
property.
driveway, they got a little culvert and that shoots it across the road. And then the big culvert comes down and they got a elbow or a 45 or a 90, whatever. And it shoots it down to that gentleman's property.
Yep.
I don't think myself that that water that crosses the road has anything to do with whether we approve or deny this. I think we have to look at the size of the lot and the slope and sand and all that stuff
Yeah.
rather than, I don't think.
And the digging into number 4, digging into the steep slope, so that's, you're requiring the engineer to
Yes.
certify that it's going to be
Yes.
safe.
Got a question back here.
Yes,
On my hillside because it's so rocky and clay, and I helped them put in a pole the other day, being a nice neighbor, you couldn't hardly even get a pole in the ground due to the amount of rock clay that's on the hillside. And the neighbors agreed, the other one here, that I think that if anyone did look at that hill and did an investigation, I'd be surprised to see sand there.
We don't know.
I have a very hard time if you're asking. Kind of saying, oh,
And number 5 is you're putting this holding tank instead of the,
Correct.
so,
Yes.
okay, I'm just trying to go through those
Yeah.
concerns one by
Yeah.
one.
there's other comments. You want to read them? All the comments while we're,
Sure. I mean, okay, I'll just take it from the front here. The next one is from Tim Payne, says, hi, my name is Tim Payne and I serve on the La Crescent Township Board and am actually the previous owner of the property in discussion. I was planning on attending the meeting on the 26th, but have a hockey tournament with my son in Duluth that I forgot about. I just wanted to set a few things straight and give some what I feel like is needed information. I lived there with my parents and my 2 siblings from 1988 to roughly 2000 before moving up to the farm for 6 years or so, which is now occupied by Andy Welke and his wife Rochelle. My dad sold the farm to them and we kept 25 acres, from acre more or less at the bottom and moved back down. Fast forward to about the middle of last year, I started hearing rumors that the Welkies are saying, according to Beacon, that the mobile home is on their land. Now, keep in mind, I lived on that property for almost 20 years. And when I didn't, I had a renter living there. When I say renter, I mean it was free as long as he maintained the mobile home. And the last 5 years, I either paid the Welkies children to mow or I did it myself. So obviously you can see how that was a giant shock to me considering we were cousins. Anyway, I used the help of Kelly Iverson at Weezer Law and a couple emails between her and their attorney. And they were advised to quit claim the existing property fence or we will take legal action. It was then surveyed by Tri-State and then recorded and sold. I also quit claim land to the neighbor. I could explain this even more detail in the things that were said, but I just want the board and Martin to be aware that the people opposing this might not be doing it for the right reason. It's sounding more like a child who didn't get what they wanted and now is throwing a tail. I loved it out there, but my life is in the present now. Property has been used as a resident for over 50 years and it doesn't affect any prime ag land, which we all know is hard to do in our country or in our county, LOL, laugh out loud. Peter and Kate are great people and are trying to raise a family together. I chose to sell them at a fair price because of that reason. I could have listened I could have listed that with a land agent and got way more. So some person from the cities could put a cabin on it and come use it 2 weeks out of the year. I didn't know about you guys, but that not what I want for this community. And unfortunately, it's happened. Thank you for your time and I truly appreciate everything that you guys do. Next one is from David and Diane Peterson in the matter of the application for multiple variances on the 050031.001. We are strongly opposed to a dwelling on this small space so close to the road. We urge that the setback requirements be enforced and the application be denied. Sincerely, David and Diane Peterson.
One on page 21.
This is from Andy and Rochelle Welke. Good evening, Martin. I'm writing you with some concerns I have regarding the variances on Welke Drive. First one is the quarter section that the property is sitting on right now. Neighboring property also has a property on that quarter section. Isn't the Houston County rule / law only one homestead per quarter acre per quarter acre? They have just quarter.
I get it.
My second concern is permits that were originally pulled from the original parcel that is in question today, building sewer, where they actually pulled from for this parcel up of a land or a different parcel that was owned by the previous owner. Parcel 050031.001. Has there been a new sewer design done for this property due to the setback of the township right of way and toe slope? My third concern is bluff and slope protections. I am concerned that digging into the hillside behind where they are wanting to build has already incurred sloughing from previous rains. Wondering about the variance of the building in question from the toe slope from the township. FYI for the
Well, we've heard Martin has read the concerns from comments from the letters that he just read. Is there any discussion on them from the board or public?
Can I clarify one of your questions from earlier, Franklin?
Yes.
This parcel can accommodate a house without any variance.
Oh, it can.
It's just the size.
it's the size.
Okay.
And what Jim's.
Okay.
And that's primarily because of the garage.
Correct.
Garage and the size of our home for our
4
for our
children.
children. Mhm.
So he could build close, they could build close enough to the toe of the bluff. And from the right of way of the township, they could get a building permit without any variances.
Be tight, but I believe yes. I mean, it depends on how big, how big of a house you do.
How far is the total hill?
25 feet. 25.
there. And 65 from the center of the Welky Road.
Realize the toe isn't for the entire structure. It's just that when the low of the hill comes down and the building gets close to that one low. It's not all the way across.
It's by the
Probably
garage area.
75% or even more
Northeast.
meets the 25.
It seems we were trying to engineer a lot to fit the size of the house, when it should be the other way around. We should engineer the house to fit the lot. Based on the very limited size we got. That's my question is whether we should do that or not.
The other part of this though, and I've been doing this a long time, is we, in these setbacks, we've been granting these kind of variances over and over and over. Oh, slope, setbacks.
Yep.
Side yards. What they're asking for is not unreasonable compared to what we've done in the past. And so there's some stuff going on, maybe, I don't know, but I think we have to look at that in terms of what our history has been.
There's precedence.
There's a lot of precedence in terms of what we've been doing in the past.
I guess, you know, when you talk about the closeness to the township road, how heavy of a road is that travel? There are a lot of houses further
I
back.
think there's 3 or 4 dwellings up above.
Now, does that connect? It's a through road, so
Not
it
to
connects.
dead end.
No,
Oh, it's not.
Yeah, yeah.
yes.
I haven't been down there to look at that close part.
So what you're telling the board is if, and I'm not trying to influence the board on anything here, I'm just making a comment. If the board denied their request, then he could come in tomorrow and he could get a building permit. That's what you folks said.
I believe it's
correct?
gonna be-
Without the garage.
Yeah, well, I mean, I believe it would have to go through a conditional use permit. But could it get to the building permit? Yes.
It could also maybe accommodate it.
Say again.
It could, I mean, even if they could give 10 feet up, they could potentially get a drain field.
Well, more questions, we have the findings. We can ask questions afterwards.
You guys are doing all these variances together? Are you doing all 3 of them together?
The variant, no, I misspoke myself, the findings. We'll go to the findings and I say variance, I misspoke.
No, you didn't say findings, but are you wanting, I mean, are you gonna do a all or nothing approach? Or did you wanna look at things?
There's 3 different various requests.
Right.
I'm comfortable with doing them all, but
So my,
Okay, I just wanted to verify before we got into it.
Yeah.
Definitely
no,
reset timing.
Right. That's-
why don't we do the findings and then we can decide if we want, if what the board wants to do.
Number 1, the variance are request in harmony with the intent and purpose of efficient control. Staff analysis. Replacing a dwelling protects prime agricultural land, which is the goal of the comprehensive land use plan.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Go ahead.
Number 2, there are practical difficulties in complying with the official controls and the proposed use of the property is reasonable. Economic considerations alone do not constitute practical difficulties. Staff analysis, additional land is not available and the parcel's limited building area requires variances to meet setbacks. A larger single family dwelling is being proposed.
All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed?
nay,
Go ahead, 3.
Number 3, the variance, did you want?
I would just say, you know, in your comments, you stated a larger single dwelling family, and I'm disputing the need for a large building structure, right?
Well, he was saying larger. I have the same issue, but you know, there's a difference between larger and one that they're proposing for me.
Right.
So I don't know how you want to deal with it, but doesn't matter. Let's go on.
Number 3, the variance requests are due to special conditions or circumstances unique to the property and not created by the property owner. Staff analysis, the site's terrain limits placement of structures, which is a special condition not created by the property.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay,
Nay. 2 nays.
Number 4, the variances.
What was your vote on that?
3-2,
So you were for it?
two were against it.
Wayne and Jim. Okay. Number 4, the variances cannot be alleviated by a reasonable method other than variances, and the minimum variances which would alleviate the practical difficulties are sought. Staff analysis, the board may find that the variances related to the proposed dwelling are the only way to feasibly resolve the total bluff setback and the front and rear yard setback, and that the variances are the minimum that would alleviate the practical difficulty of limited buildable space, which was not created by the current owner of the property.
Let's review that one a little bit. I don't think that's quite right, that reasonable method other than the variance, because you just said that he could put a smaller house on there. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, so all in favor of that, say aye.
Okay, just one more comment.
Go ahead.
My problem is with building, making a building big enough for your trailer. That's a luxury, and I'm not sure that this lot can afford a luxury or can accommodate a luxury. So that's where I have a problem. I think, as I think others do, that there's a possibility of putting a house on there, even with some variances, that would be less than what is there now if you gave up sheltering your mobile home or your camper. And I have problems with that because
Sure.
you're trying, and I think you said it best, you're trying to shoehorn a larger house into a small lot, and it can be accommodated if you redesign it.
But
I agree with
basically,
you.
you're asking them to change their whole plans to accommodate. And that's not what they're really requesting when they're applying for a variance.
I know
They
that.
have a plan here and they're asking for a variance so they can do their plan.
And I wouldn't approve it of the plan as it is. That's what I'm saying.
So vote on number 4.
Go ahead.
Oh,
The vote on it?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. All in favor of 4 we're on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Nay. How many nays?
Just to, yeah, just to.
Do a roll call on it.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah.
Nay.
Kenny Fisker,
Nay.
Kenny Anderson,
Aye.
Franklin,
nay.
Wayne Rowan,
Nay.
nay,
Number 5, the variances will not alter the essential character of the locality nor substantially impair property values or the public health, safety, or welfare in the vicinity. Staff analysis. Granting the variances will not have a negative impact on the criteria listed above. Additionally, the replacement of the dwelling is not a new use for the parcel.
The discussion on that, or you want to vote on it? All in favor?
Aye.
aye,
Opposed? Go ahead.
Number 6, the requests are not use variances and will not have the effect of allowing any use that is not allowed in the zoning district. Permit a lower degree of flood protection than the regulatory flood protection elevation, or permit standards lower than those required by Minnesota state law. Staff analysis, the granting of the area variances for the front yard, rear yard, and total bluff setback requirements do not conflict with any restricted uses. There is no map floodplain on the parcel. There are no known state standards applicable to the request.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
aye,
Opposed? Motion's carried.
Can I have a comment before we go any further?
Yeah.
We've already got one finding that didn't pass, right?
Yes,
And that automatically eliminates the
you
variance.
gotta get them all.
So,
You don't have to have everybody.
We have to have one.
well, but before we go that far, and I know that, you know, you're not gonna get your variance tonight. But I think given a different floor plan and some accommodations, the sense of that I have is that we would be inclined to approve something different. And I hate to see them go through the whole thing again. Is there a way that they can submit a better plan to you without going through another $600 or $500 or whatever it is?
Table it at this point, subject to
Waive the fees.
resubmittal
Well,
of information and continue.
I guess I would have said table and I don't know.
Well, we haven't voted on a final.
don't we have to have the variance before you can apply for the PDD?
Oh, definitely.
We're gonna have more discussion before.
Well, I think what they're talking about is in terms of how far he is in the actual variance part of it, not, you know, so in other words, would there be the.
I think if you tabled it, you guys took a look at things. Look to see if there's anything you can give.
If
and
we
maybe
took
come
10
up
feet
with
off the
rules.
back of the building, the whole building,
If you could get to the point where all of a sudden, you know, I mean, I'm speaking here, but be able to show a reasonable septic system, not have to do the bluff part.
Can we table this then in lieu of another plan?
I think we can table it.
I'm totally for a dwelling. It's just, you know, what would you be comfortable with? You know, as far as.
I mean, we can give
size?
up the storage for the camper, we can find another place to
Right.
store it, right? And we can move it in 10 feet and have a 30-foot deep garage instead, so we can still park our vehicles in there
Mhm.
and have room to walk around still.
I work with Martin as far as size wise and.
And take off the whole back, 10 feet off, whole back of the house.
I move we table it until we get another plan.
Just a minute. Let me ask a question. You got a motion on the floor. We were told here tonight that if we denied this, and we're not gonna get that far, either approve it or deny it, but they could build a building, they told us a couple of times, there without a variance. So maybe, I'm just throwing this out, maybe they can get the building without a variance.
Well, you've got 4 kids, so you're gonna be limited as,
Right, right.
It might,
They all need a place to sleep,
right?
right?
And in the variances that they might be asking might be well within what we've granted in the past in terms of other folks. So I don't want to put them in a box where they have to, you know, come in with something that has no variances at all. Because we're not opposed to granting variances done in the past.
Okay, let me ask this question then, if they come back with a re-advised plan, do they have to pay again to come back? That's already covered.
that's true.
Yeah, I think if we table it,
It's just a continuation of the same.
Okay, I just wanted to make it clear so
Okay.
that everybody knew that they're on the same page.
We won't.
We'll probably have other meetings.
Okay,
It's a busy.
just wanted to let you know.
Okay, so
I'll bring you a little extra stuff.
you had, Ken had the motion. What was your
I
motion?
I move we table this variance request at this point until such time as they can submit another plan.
Okay,
Are we limited to time?
30 days.
Well, 60 days, and then we can request another 60 days,
Okay.
which we can say we're extending it 60 days, so in total 100. So I can
So
go,
if you want to table for 60 days then?
60 days, fine. Yeah.
So does that end our discussion?
If we're ready.
come back.
no, we vote in there.
I think I'm back in time
I
already.
guess they could probably,
I'll have it done tomorrow, honestly, yeah.
Time that they can resubmit a plan for a maximum of 60 days.
There you go.
But before we get a second on that motion, Wayne wants to say something.
Well, what's the township's stance on this? they're against it. Is it the variances?
I think it's just staying out of the right of way. And the culvert that's there. But we aren't building close to that culvert. We're in by no means close at all.
I mean, I
When
guess-
you look at the township letter, they had 5 issues.
Yeah.
And the only one that hasn't been resolved here tonight was the size. Well, not even the size of the lot, it was the toe of the slope. Probably the only thing, in the variances.
Mhm.
Other than that, we resolved all of the other township.
Okay, so here's where I'm going with that. My problem is. There's a hill up there and it takes a corner. And if somebody's coming down there and it's icy and they take that corner straight, they're gonna go right into your house.
No,
That's why,
no, not the way, not the way it's laid out.
Mm-mm.
you don't think
You're
so?
climbing uphill.
That's why I didn't want a variance on the road. I think they need that distance. That's what I think the township wants.
See, if you look at this, I don't know if we showed it very well, but the house will be sitting over here, and this is the road here.
But the corner is up above that picture.
Correct, but anything that's coming down this road will not affect that dwelling. If you look at the layout,
Well, I was there this morning and looked at it.
you were there. Okay.
The township is worried
But
about the right of way. He's not encroaching on the right,
But the variance,
The setback.
The
the
very-
setback,
The
but
setback.
not the right.
It's the center.
He's not encroaching on the right of way, he's encroaching on the setback,
who's,
but we're talking about revising.
right, I know that.
So that was
Whose
my-
responsibility would it fall on to explain to the supervisors on Hoka Township on exactly what their intentions were? Well, it said the setback from the road, from the right of the road, so that they understood exactly what is being proposed here. Isn't that our responsibility?
I'm going to go meet with the Hope Township.
Maybe I'm wrong here.
I'll call Dick
Even
Martin.
if it's the case of responsibility, I'm going to the township meeting, just say, this is our understanding.
Sure.
Am I out of line here to ask for that? Because supervisors in a township, they carry a little
Sure.
weight.
Yeah, no, I think all they need is an explanation of what we talked.
Well, this is where I was going with this.
If Martin doesn't want to do it, I'll do it. I know Dick, I'll talk. to him.
Talk with the
Okay.
lane and say, basically,
Have him call.
we table this, and here's what's transpiring. Would you like me to come in? Which usually they're like, what, the first meeting, when their town meetings are. They're early in the month.
Okay, so,
We don't have a second.
no, I know we. I know we got, We have a motion on the floor. And if we're done with the discussions, then we'll ask for a second.
I'll second.
Okay. Any more discussion before we vote? We got a motion on the floor to table it. It's second. There's no more discussion. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Now, do we have anything else to discuss before we adjourn? Anybody in the board got anything they want to say? I'm not necessarily about this topic, but anything?
It's a busy spring. We'll be back next month.
Guaranteed that.
Okay, and thank you both for coming.
No, thank you.
Motion to adjourn if you're ready on this afternoon.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second to it,
second,
all in favor, say aye.
I.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, folks.